Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us. I see Fireflies, Kesha, and Ed. Thank you for being part of this journey that we are on. Welcome to Girl Space. Girl Space is a community of women entrepreneurs coming together so we can empower one another. And we are here in a safe space where we can speak freely among our peers and talk about anything from the glass ceiling to motherhood to empowering one another in our business when it comes to marketing, our future self, from wellness to self-love. So I just want to welcome everybody again, and I want to introduce Miss Carolyn. She is our host and serial entrepreneur and quite the beauty that she is. I love her. I am so happy that she's here to join us, and I just want to give her a warm welcome, everybody. Please, if you have any questions, go ahead and add it into the chat group. If you're just now chiming in, please sign in with your email address. And if you have a Instagram handle or a Facebook handle, please put it in the chat box so we can all follow you. And again, I'll reiterate this at the end so we can all be connected once again. Carolyn, it's all you, madam. Oh, wait, you're on mute. Let me unmute you. Okay.
Okay. Yes. You be in charge. I'll just talk.
Sorry.
You do the stuff.
And action.
Okay. Young people wouldn't know what that means.
Yeah, I know, right?
Okay. So anyhow, I was just telling Emery before we started recording here, I'm actually super excited to be here. And she actually mentioned that there's men on this call. Like this is actually like a female entrepreneurial space. But I wanted to tell you who is on this call, and who is on this call is the founder of Synergy of Empowering Women. And he actually lives on the East Coast, and he and I have been business partners for years now. And he actually just sent me something when he knew I was going to do this. There's another woman in North Carolina who has, or maybe it's South Carolina, it's close to Rock Hill, who has a co-working space called Loom, L-O-O-M. And she actually, her name's Jennifer Belk, and she actually just wrote this whole thing too about the importance of her having a space where it's accessible for women. It's like what you just said, it's a safe space. She's going to keep it real. She's going to keep it affordable. And it's a place where marriages have been saved, like businesses have grown. So I just think it's really important to be able to acknowledge that there are so many people on your side, okay? And what I wanted to do today was a workshop. I honestly don't know how long this is going to go. Normally it's a 4-week program. So when I actually work with clients one-on-one, this becomes a 4-week program. So I just took a 4-week program and made it into a workshop. I do have a PDF that I created for everybody who watches, and you'll probably want to print it out at some point or refer back to it because I made it really robust. Like I really wanted to come on today and just like give you guys all my best stuff. Because I know that it's been hard to be alone. It's been hard to be detached from our communities and from the people that we, rely on to give us a hug and like to listen to us, in real time. So the Create Your Future Self workshop is something that I've actually, like, in all honesty, started creating when I was probably in 8th grade. So I grew up in Ohio. And when I was in Ohio, I knew I was going to move to Tucson. Everyone was like, you're crazy. What's in Tucson? How are you going to get there? You can't afford that. La, da, 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 da. But I knew when I was in 8th grade that I was going to move to Tucson, Arizona. So of course I did. And then I spent years like traveling and working in different national parks. I've worked in Zion National Park, Grand Teton National Park. I've lived in Montana. Then I decided to get a divorce and take my 2 kids across the country to New Hampshire. So, and now I'm back in California. So this whole process for me personally is very powerful. And so this is not something like I just kind of made up yesterday and was like, well, this sounds good. This is actually something that I have done to recreate my own lives and my kids' lives over and over and over. And they know the power of vision boards. Like, they know it's hard to start over, but at the end of the day, it's one of the most empowering episodes that you could have. So part of the first thing that I talk to people about there, again, like when I'm running this as a 4-week program with an individual client, is really trying to dial into who you are, like who you are at a core level. What do you stand for? And this is something that takes a minute. Okay. Like I always reference a woman named Caroline Myss. Her last name is spelled M-Y-S-S. And Caroline Myss has basically like made it her life's work to study archetypes. And if you're not familiar with what an archetype is, if you think about back to every culture on the planet throughout all of time, throughout the history of humanity, there's always these archetypal principles that show up in every culture, right? So you think about kings, queens, beggars, priests, mystics, athletes, you know what I mean? Like there are these archetypal principles that people show up as across all countries, cultures, and time. So that's the study of archetypes. And what I have found is that Caroline Myss has kind of like updated everything. So now you're the teenage mom. That's an archetype. You're a woman entrepreneur. That's an archetype. You're a networker. You know what I mean? Like there are certain things that you just can't help but do. And so what I've done is I've included in the PDF here an actual list or a website to Caroline Myss specifically, to her resource section, where she has about a 70-page list of archetypes. And I think that you'll be surprised if you take the time to do this. And I really encourage you to. If you take the time to do this, you will have to do it twice or maybe 3 times, because you're probably going to be surprised along the way of things that you think you relate to. But then as you really dive into what that means, like how you would be showing up every day, if that was true, maybe it's the shadow side to that, right? So just like every problem has a solution, and just like there's 2 sides to every coin, every archetype has a dark and a light, a shadow side and the part where you shine. And so it goes into detail there. But one of the things for this workshop, and I really like, if you don't have a pen and paper right now, like do that for a second. I'm going to take a sip of my tea. So for this workshop, I really actually would love any kind of like feedback. And you can ask questions, but as things are coming into your mind, write them down, okay? Because they'll be valuable later. So the first part of this workshop is figuring out who you are. So here's something that I find interesting. When you go through the whole list, or when you think about all of the archetypes that you can possibly think of, from fairy tales, from classic literature, from the dawn of time, right? Caroline Myss says there's always 4. Like we all have the same 4. The first 4 is a child. Hang on, getting a call. Hold on, hopefully it gives me it. Sorry. So the first archetype is a child. And so we all have a child archetype, but they could all be different. Like some common ones are the orphaned child, the magical child, the nature child, there's all kinds of children, whether you feel abandoned or you feel at one with nature and animals. That child archetype has always been with you, and it's specific to you. So the second one is a saboteur. I think we can all relate to this, right? How many times have we completely self-sabotaged all of our efforts? Yeah. So the third one is a victim. And there again, like, I think that we can look around the room and say clearly, like, yes, this person definitely has been talking like a victim, acting like a victim. I have felt like a victim, poor me, blah, blah, blah. We all have that at some point, and there are times in our lives where these types of archetypes are more prevalent, and then they kind of subside, or they're really, really in our face, and then they are like, okay, we'll take a break for a minute. You never get rid of them. But the fourth one, which I always find interesting, and especially interesting to explain, is the prostitute. And I'm not actually talking about sex. I'm talking about that everybody has a price. Basically, everybody can be bought at some level, and which calls into question moral values. It calls into question all kinds of really interesting concepts. But when you think about, when was a time where you actually kind of relaxed principles in order to get something? I mean, I think we've all done it. Just depends on the magnitude. So Caroline May says we all have thus far: child, victim, saboteur, prostitute. Okay, moving forward. Then you have your own subset of 4, 3, 4, something like that, where these are things that you do every single day. Like, these are so deeply ingrained in you. When you show up into a room, you exude these things. You just can't help it. And so, like I said, I really encourage you to think about how people see you, how you are showing up, the energy, because in business, right, if we bring this back to business for a second, those are going to be the same people that you're attracting. And so it's really interesting to get a very clear sense of who you are, because that is going to be such an attractant in your business for your clients. They're going to hear you. They're going to hear themselves. They're going to resonate with that. So when you can get really clear on this, it's a really powerful business tool along with a personal development tool. So like I said, this took me about 3 weeks to really sit with and to really like delve into and try things on until I came up with my 4. So I know that personally, I'm an artist, an athlete, an intellect, and a lover. Those are my 4. Every single day. That's what happens in my life. I always have to be creating something. I always have to move my body in order to feel healthy. I'm always learning something or like wanting to teach people what I know. And part of my world is how much I love people, like on all levels, not just like men, the sexuality, the relationships. I mean, we can talk about that for 2 weeks, but what I'm talking about are real people, people who I'm connecting with. And that is what lights me up. That's what turns me on, is my connection with people. I have to be in my body. I have to be creating things, whether it's a meal in the kitchen or an online course, or, I mean, I actually did another painting for my kid to take off to college with her. I'm in constant creation mode. So when you think about what it is that you are focusing on a daily basis, whether it's a religious aspect, whether it's you're being an advocate to other people, like there are so many possibilities. I've given you a tool. Please do with it what you will. The other things I listed here are like, you know, what can you not stop talking about? Like, what do people ask you about all the time? They come to you for advice. All of these things, again, are on your PDF. Because at the end of the day, going into part 2 here, wow, I might actually keep this under an hour. Going into part 2 here, when we talk about every single person on the planet essentially has the same basic human needs. So these 6 basic human needs are something that I've discovered. Like, so this is of the lineage of like Freud, Erickson, Chloe Madonnas, even Tony Robbins pulls this in to a certain extent. And I've just found it to be the best guide that I've ever found. So 6 basic human needs. Tell me if you disagree. It'll be hard to. The first one is for certainty. And when I say certainty, I mean a feeling of safety. Like, you know where your next meal is coming from. You know you have a roof over your head. You know you have the resources in order to live. Certainty. This is important. A lot of the world doesn't have this right now. So once you know that you've got the roof and you've got the food and you've got the physical sense of safety, then the secondary part to that is people are looking for a sense of variety, which is essentially a sense of uncertainty. So once we know we're safe, then we kind of want to be entertained. And we want the next Netflix video, and we want to go shopping, and we want to take a vacation, but we also want to have an affair, and we want to go gambling, and we want to do all of the things that create this sense of uncertainty and excitement in our lives. And some people deal with that in a healthier way than others, but we're all looking for it in some way, shape, or form. Like my mom goes to the freaking makeup counter at Estee Lauder, and that's her like variety for the week. But the third one is for a sense of significance. And what I mean by significance is, do you feel seen? Do you feel heard? Do you feel like you are acknowledged as a unique person? And there's a lot of people who work in cubicles who feel like they don't have a name, they have a number. What they're doing is insignificant. They're not seen, they're not heard. This causes depression. It causes all kinds of things in people's lives because it is a basic human need. Like you need to be shown up and feel seen. And the next one going down the list would be love and connection. And probably you would think that would be higher, but it's really not. Like people need to know they're safe first. They need this sense of personal significance in the world, in their lives. And then comes the love and connection part, the hugging, the families, the get-togethers, the relationship and interpersonal connection. But none of that matters if you don't have a place to live. So the fifth one on the list is personal growth. And personal growth means obviously just what it sounds like. If we all know at a very deep level, if we're not growing, we're dying. And entropy is a thing. And so if you aren't actually focused on becoming a better you in any way, shape, or form, you're getting better at a hobby, or you're progressing your career, or you're working on your parenting skills, any of these things, right? Personal growth. And then the last one on the list is contribution. And when I say contribution, I really mean the whole idea of paying it forward, of contributing to society without the expectation of getting anything in return. And so when you look at these 6 basic human needs, probably some of you are thinking right now, like, oh, I can see very clearly, or I'm missing at least 1 or 2 of these. And what's so interesting is they always go in this order. This is the order of importance. However, number 6, contribution, does a funny thing. Number 6 actually retroactively fills the rest of the list. So when you think about a time where you volunteered for something, or you donated to someone, there was a tithing, there was something like this that you did. You felt a sense of personal growth because you were helping other people. You felt a sense of love and connection because you actually cared about a cause. You felt a sense of significance that people were going to be thankful for your contribution. You felt a sense of variety, doesn't happen every day. And you had a sense of certainty that you have the power to help other people in the world. So when you think about how contribution retroactively fulfills all of these other basic human needs that we all have, it's shocking to look around and see how many people don't. So I'm gonna, so basically so part 2 of this whole process, right? Okay, so again, normally I do this in 4 weeks. So we've talked about your archetypal principles and what you have to be doing every day. Where we talked about what the 6 basic human needs are that people are just automatically drawn to fulfill. And so are you in some way, shape, or form. And that's why you do what you do. So when you're looking to actually create a future self that looks differently from how it does today, what I wanted to do was give you another tool, what I call a life zone map. I actually wrote out a little super basic one because this is like the fun part, but it might be backwards. My words might be, see how it's flipped around. It's supposed to say life zone map, but it's, there we go. I did it in Sharpie just in case I could do this. Okay, so my life zone map. So basically, like if you took a piece of paper and made like a tic-tac-toe square on it. Everybody knows tic-tac-toe, X's and O's. So if I take my life zone map and I think about, where do I go every day? What do I do every day? Like, who am I around? You'll probably find that there's different zones. Like sometimes you'll be at the dog park and you'll be with a different group of people doing a different thing than you would when you're gardening or when you're at church or when you're at work or do whatever you're doing, right? So to think about like, what is it that I stand for? What is it that I love to do? And I've always loved to do. You can make a little map. And once you have your little tic-tac-toe marks, you can start to put in all of your different life zones. So like I have the gym, which is now my back porch, work, travel, art, food, family, hiking, volunteering, friends. Like I could go on and on. In each one of these zones, I'm doing something different with different people. Now, when I think about this, I go back and I say, okay, my 6 basic human needs, how many of those are getting met in each one of my zones? Because not all 6 are going to be met in every zone. But like, look, when I go to the gym, like, so specifically like a CrossFit gym, right? Which is very community oriented.
Yeah, Caroline, can you flip it over? We see the back. There we go. That's it.
Okay.
Perfect. Okay.
Perfect.
Go ahead.
Great. Oh, I love that. Okay. So when I'm at the gym, what's happening? I'm certain that they're going to be open. I always get a sense of variety because the workout is different and it's programmed for me every single day. I've variety, uncertainty, significance. I know I'm going to be I show up to be a leader in the gym, like, and to do the best I can and inspire other people. Love and connection, they're my people. Personal growth. I know that I have a coach there who's going to push me to get better every single time. They're tracking. I'm tracking. I'm recording my own personal best. And contribution, like that's kind of a tricky one to find, but what I've discovered is that like even if I pick up a dirty Band-Aid off the floor, or even if I volunteer to judge when they need another judge in a competition, like I'm contributing to the community. So like, because I'm an athlete, because that's one of my archetypes, this is very fulfilling for me. My work, right? As a coach, as a life coach, like, am I certain that I'm going to pay the bills? Yeah, pretty much. Even in this world, right? So yes, I'm certain that I can support my family. Do I have variety? Oh, hell yeah. Every day I get to hear a different story. I've got different people. There's always something that is new, like what's happening, you know? Do I have significance? I feel I do because people listen to me. I feel seen and heard. Love and connection. Yes, I'm connecting with people on a very deep and often intimate level. They trust me. Personal growth. I'm always working to get better at my craft so that I can help other people. Contribution. You know what? Do I sit with my neighbors sometimes and listen to their crap and think to myself, I should be getting paid for this? Yes, but I do it anyways. Anyhow, you see what I'm doing here. Like travel is a huge thing for me. I love traveling. But does it give me a sense of certainty? Not really. Variety, it sure does. Significance, not always. Love and connection, absolutely. When I'm meeting people from all over the world. Personal growth, oh yeah. Contribution, maybe not all the time. So on and on and on it goes, right? I'm an artist. Here's my little art category. And I can go down all of my 6 basic human needs, and I can think to myself, how is it that I feel fulfilled in every single aspect of my life? And if you don't, this is where there's room to grow, which is why we're here today, right? And so what I really wanted people to take away from this exercise and from this talk is that you actually can create a different future for yourself. It doesn't happen overnight. First, you have to do the work. First, you have to decide who you want to be in the world, which you can decide that. You have to decide, like, so I'll do this with clients sometimes, and they'll get like 3 boxes, and they'll be like, I don't know. Right? So, you know, if that just happened to you, if you're like, wait, I work and I come home, and I work and I come home, you might think for a second about answering some of the other questions in the first part of this little PDF that I have, because like when you are actually forced to remember back to your favorite games and hobbies as a child, that is very telling. Most people don't do that. But your favorite things that you used to do as a kid, like, I don't know, whether it was playing Barbies or making a fort in the woods, there was something that you loved more than anything. It's still there. It's still in you. And then thinking about 25 things, like if I forced you to write down 25 things that you are so proud that you have accomplished since you were a little kid. 25 kind of gets a little intimidating, and you have to dig a little bit deeper as far as, what did I accomplish that I prioritized so deeply, I couldn't not do it. I couldn't stop doing it. I was going to follow this through till the end, no matter what. And then where did it get you, right? Like, how are you utilizing that? Because that was a lot of work. And you deserve to be utilizing that. So the next part of this, to a great extent, is finding the deficits, right? I mean, to be quite honest, like, you wanted something 10 years ago, but it hasn't happened yet. Or you thought you were going to do this, but then you didn't. And you have this idea in your mind about this beautiful life that you could have somewhere else. So what I challenge everyone here today to do is to really get out the pen and paper. It is not the same on a computer. I'm really sorry, guys. Penmanship is a thing. But when you can actually write down, because writing is very powerful. Like, every single letter is a symbol that carries energy, and you have to understand that that is the power of writing. So when you sit down and you do your life map and you're like, wow, I have 3 things and none of them are fulfilling all of my 6 basic human needs, that's a good place to start. What would? And I mean, not knowing anyone on this call, I can't answer that right now. But that is the work of a coach. That's the work of a mentor. That's when you sit down with your significant other and you're like, I'm trying to do this thing. Like, help me out. Like, who am I? It's interesting to see how people see us as well. But if you can get at least 6 squares filled in and go through that exercise as far as like, where are my needs getting met? Where aren't they getting met? Then you have a sense of like, okay, moving forward, I need to incorporate way more of this into my day-to-day life. And whether that is feeling significant, or whether it's certainty, or whether it's contribution, that's completely up to you. You know, like, you, or at least you're getting to. And so I had this great therapist back when I lived in Flagstaff, and I was like, I had way too many plates up in the air. Like, I was trying to juggle 3 like careers. I'm married, I've got 2 little kids, and one of my plates dropped, and it just threw me for a loop, and I couldn't stop crying. And after 2 weeks, I was like, I need to go talk to someone. And one of the things that she had me do, and this is seriously like, I don't know, 15 years ago now, one of the things that she had me do was to write down what my perfect life would be like. And to be quite honest with you, it looked absolutely nothing like what I was doing. I was in a different place. I was doing something completely different. Like, I was in a different relationship altogether. Like, none of the things that I was doing were my dream life things. And so that was a very eye-opening exercise for me, where when I got really honest with myself, I knew I had some tough choices to make. And so I painted a new picture, and then went through the transition of making that picture happen. And I remember extremely clearly, like, I stepped out of my bathtub one day. I was taking a shower. It's in New Hampshire. Now it's years later. And I stepped out of my shower and I grabbed my towel and I looked around and it hit me. I was like, oh my God, this is exactly the picture that I had painted for myself years ago. Like, I'm going to walk into my beautiful sunlit kitchen with all of the fresh fruit. I have an online business. I have 2 healthy kids. I'm free. I live in this beautiful 5-acre farm. Like, I had to have a nice car. Like, all of the things, all of a sudden, like they happen so gradually. But when you can paint the picture and stick with it, all of the pieces start to come together. So that's kind of the second part of this whole process, is knowing what is insufficient, creating a new picture with a new normal and a new, perhaps even lifestyle that looks better. And along the way, you will encounter all of the reasons why you can't. You will bump up against all of the places that have kept you where you still are. Why you can't afford it, why it's not time, why you need to wait, why all of the things. And the more you keep writing this out and the more you keep getting help with the articulation of what is happening, the faster you will understand that probably all of those reasons aren't your reasons. That was your dad's reason, that was your neighbor's reason, that's what you got told when you went to school by some well-meaning person who couldn't fulfill their own needs, whatever. But the more you sift through this messy spider web of knowing what you want and then knowing why you think you can't, you'll start to find all of these reasons that weren't even yours in the first place. And if you can just say to yourself, well, what if? What if I could do that? What if my job went away and I started my own career? What if? And so if you can keep asking questions along that line, what would the best case scenario be? How would your life zones fill up? It's really, really powerful. Okay, I'm talking a lot. So when you think about the beliefs that are holding you back, when you think about who they really belong to, you start to realize that honestly, the sky is the limit. If you have a belief, okay, so Marianne Williams quotes this from A Course in Miracles all the time. And she says, I have such a belief in the eventual outcome that I can afford to wait without anxiety. I have such great faith in the eventual outcome. I can afford to wait without anxiety. So powerful to me. And if anybody here has studied anything about A Course in Miracles, you know that one of the basic tenets of that is you're only acting from one of 2 places. Like, everything that you're feeling, everything that you're doing is either coming from fear or love. That's it. All of your positive emotions, your love, your trust, your belief, your creativity, your joy, all of that is coming from a place of love. And everything else, your anger, your disappointment, your frustration, that's all ego. That's not real. That's your emotions. Anyhow, that's a whole nother workshop. But what I really want to leave you with today too is having a sense that anything is possible under the sun. It might not look exactly like you thought it would in the beginning, but if you want to run a 10K, you can. You just have to train for it. Like, you might not be an Olympian, but you can still do the race. You know, if you want to design clothing, you don't have to be a seamstress, but you might have to find one. You know what I mean? Like, there's always a way. And what I have discovered is the way to do this is not only through visualization, like your vision board and stuff like that, but also the act of writing it down. And the act of writing it down and getting so clear on what you see in your mind when you open up your eyes in the morning. What do you see out the window? Who are you lying next to? What is the first thing that you do for the day? You're not in a rush. This feels normal. This is how you're the most efficient and the most productive. Some of us aren't meant to commute. Just saying. So that's pretty much, like, that is the very, very high level way that I have found that people can create their future selves. Who are you? Because without that, what are you doing? You have to have this sense of self-identity that, like I said, when you show up in a room, people know who you are. You have to know what it is that you want. If you don't know what you want, you're not going to get there. You have to have not only knowledge of your gifts, but you also have knowledge of your passion. They might not always line up. People who are like Michael Jordan, like, perfect story. He got cut from his high school basketball team. He didn't have the natural gift. He had the passion. And he worked and he worked and he worked and he worked and became one of the greats. You don't have to actually wake up one day and be like, oh, I know how to play the piano now. It doesn't work like that. Oh, I know all about online marketing. No, but you can learn. And you might need a teacher, and you might need a group. And I know, Emery, like, that's partly what you do, is you offer people a space to come and share ideas and share knowledge and share energy, right? And so we all need that at some point. Like, we can't do it on our own. So I'm gonna stop talking for a minute and turn it back over to you, Emery, and see where we want to go from here.
Right. I think that's really amazing. Like, these are really good nuggets of information that you are just sharing with us. And I put in the chat box that act of writing down your thoughts creates energy, not typing it. Ask yourself, who are you? What do you want? That would be a good starting point. I like the idea that penmanship is a real thing, because, like, these days I don't see people in school, students learning how to cursive write these days, and rather more focusing on, like, how to type faster, how many words per minute. And we're losing that touch of, like, writing thoughts down on paper. And when you do that, I think you nailed it, that it creates energy and it creates momentum and it gets you motivated to, like, actually do something about where you want to go, where are you at right now. It's like an extension of a vision board, not so elaborate, because vision boards, you have to pull out all these cool little photos, but like, just writing it down, it's just like, it's raw, you know, it's you and your thoughts coming down.
And sometimes people don't like making vision boards. Like, I kind of push against that a little bit, because there's someone else's photos.
Yeah.
Usually.
Yeah.
Like, that I didn't see that. That was somebody else. Like, that's actually not my vision.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good point too. You know?
But when I can write it down, that is my vision, and that is truly mine. And I guess there was one thing I wanted to add to what you were saying, is that some people are afraid to write things down because then they're afraid they're tied to it, or they're afraid that someone else will see it and judge them. So what I just wanted to tell everybody today is like, no one has to see it. I mean, I write on everything, dude. Like, I write on old envelopes. Like, I write on everything, but then I throw it away.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing too precious. You can't make anything too precious, and you don't have to show anybody. Just simply the act of writing it down once, like write it on toilet paper in the bathroom, flush that shit down. It doesn't matter. It's just the simple act. It's so powerful.
What is that though? How is that happening? Like, just writing it down, that's a powerful thing. Like, what's going on there? It's just like, you know how they say if you break up with your boyfriend, just write out this letter that you want to actually say to him, but really don't do it. Like, what is all that? That's magic right there, I think. It's like, it's, it's intangible. You can't really touch it if it's just words put on paper, It's like a spell or something.
I got you on this because I've thought about this for so long, because it doesn't seem right. It doesn't seem real that all this should be able to happen.
Right.
But when you think about it from an energy standpoint, and when you realize that quantum physics teaches us that every single thing is energy. Like, all right, this is a little bit off topic, but we're going for it. When you think about the fact that you have a body, right? You have a body, and your body is made out of systems. Your respiratory system, cardiovascular system, endocrine system. All of your systems are made up of organs. Heart, lungs, kidneys. All of your organs are made out of tissues, very, very specific to that organ. You can't put heart tissue in a kidney and expect it to work. It doesn't work like that. All of your tissues are made up of cells. Again, this is very specific to the thing. All of the cells are made up of atoms. But when we look at things at a subatomical level, what's there? Nothing. Like, the fact that we have a physical body that is made up of all of these things is crazy, because at the end of the day, all it is energy. When you look at atoms at a subatomic level, they're nothing. It's just space. And so everything becomes a matter of intention. And when you're writing things down, when you're actually doing the physical action, and there again, like, you can look at the study of numerology, you can look at there's actual like scientific studies of handwriting from different cultures and how different marks mean different things in different cultures. But that actual act of writing it down transmits your intentional energy into a physical manifestation. There again, you have to like think about this for a second, but it's like writing the letter to your boyfriend. I've actually done this, and you're writing it out and you're writing it out, and then all of a sudden you're actually writing to yourself. And it's like, I just lapsed into my own therapy session. Thank you very much. Thank you for this lesson. And thank you for teaching me this. And like, oh my gosh, I remember when that happened and I realized that da-da-da. Like, but in the process of writing it down, often there's also the process of forgiveness and the process of letting go. And sometimes when it's just in our head, we can't do that. It's just thoughts. But when we make it manifest in front of us, and we actually do the work on ourselves to forgive ourselves and then subsequently other people, we feel this release.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's beautiful.
Weird. It's weird, yeah, because there are things sitting in my head that I just want to let go, but just to write it down, that's the way to let it release out of your system or your body. And it's just like Buddha says it, everybody says to do that, and you're verifying it. And I just thought it's just amazing, and I'm glad that we touched on this, because I think we need to remind people that, especially in this pandemic, what we're doing right now, it's okay to have these feelings, because women, we have emotions. There's no way around it. I have like emotions up the wazoo, and I need to learn how to control it. It's not always bad. It's not always good, but writing it out kind of like helps put things into perspective, I think.
And like I said, girl, you don't have to keep it. You don't have to make it precious. I mean, I have journals and journals and journals and journals, but then I also have had like tons and tons and tons of weirdo envelopes and scraps of paper that I've had to like write down all my feelings on and then let them go.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be a book. It's on the process. It's in the process of creating the next version of you who is going to be better and who is going to actually be more self-aware and less held back by unexpressed emotions.
That's powerful.
That's your work. It's my work. It's everybody's work individually. I love to do the work with people. I think it's, intriguing as hell. Like, that's what I love.
Yeah.
But eventually it's you sitting down with you and doing the work.
So when you say, when we try to figure out our future self, what would you suggest? That we would just like write down where we are, what we want, what our goals are, put together that little chart that you had created? What are your like points that we can help to like get started?
Okay. Yeah, that's a good question. So basically, like the first step is ditch the goals.
Oh.
Like, we don't need to talk about that right now. We need to see the picture of your life, the future you, who wakes up next to whoever you're waking up. You can see what color your curtains are. When you look out the window, what do you see? Do you see the ocean? Do you see mountains? Do you see a field? Like, what's out there? Playground? I don't know. And so then, you walk into your kitchen, but what does it look like? Like, what kind of food are you eating? Do you have a chef? Do you have someone making the food? Like, who's making the food? Like, all of these very detailed things. When do you start working? Do you journal first? Do you exercise first? Do you go for a swim first? Like, when does your kind of work day start? What is your work day? Are you on the phone? Are you on the computer? Are you actually making art? Are you writing a novel? Like, what are you doing? None of these are goal oriented. This is the vision of what if you were to wake up tomorrow and all of these things had magically occurred, you would be so stoked. So how long do you work? What do you eat for lunch? Do you even eat lunch? Are you intermittent fasting? Like, did someone bring you lunch? I don't know. When do you end your day? Do you do a yoga class then? Are friends coming over? What's the nighttime ritual look like? When do you go to bed? What does that look like? There's no goals, except that maybe at some point of the day while you were working, you checked your bank account. You know what I'm saying? And you're like, ooh, damn, I just got another 20 grand from over here. And ooh, I just got another 1,000 over here. And ooh, this came in and okay, that deposited. And okay, all my investments over here just went up this. What are you doing? What's important to you? Maybe you went to the mailbox and you got fan mail from your latest novel or blog or whatever. And that was like so freaking cool. Like, that was part of your day. That significance and that feeling of recognition. So kind of the first thing is just to really, like, all shame aside, write down what you want your life to look like. Nobody has to see it. And then if you get out that life zone map again, this little ditty, you can write down all of the different zones that you actually interacted in during the day. You were working, you were with your significant other. Like I said, maybe you went to the dog park, maybe you went to church, maybe you went to maybe you're getting ready for this huge fundraising gala where 1 million celebrities are going to be at. I don't know. Maybe you're doing plein air painting, whatever it takes. But you can kind of start to match these things up. Like, is there congruency between what I say I want and what is happening? And this is what takes time. So everybody needs to have patience with this process. Like I said, normally this is like 4 weeks for us to have some breakthroughs, but we're chucking it into an hour.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But the breakthroughs come at their own accord, and when you're ready to accept certain things. I love the part of knowing who I am. Like, I love the part of knowing that when I show up, people are going to say like, oh yeah, she's an artist. Like, she's all colorful and shit. And you know, oh yeah, she's an athlete. She looks like she's in good shape. Well, that didn't just happen either. Oh, she's articulate. She's intelligent. I should hope so. She's a lover. Like, I just want to hug her. Like, she's just so like blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, yeah, that's who I am. Wherever you go, there you are. And so that's why I encourage people to go through these steps, because once you know who you are, you can just totally accept it and embrace it and not try to change it. You can paint a new picture about how you want your days to look and how you want your weeks to go without goal setting. It's just simply, this is what is going to happen. Now, the day-to-day work is to obviously set goals that you're going to meet in order to achieve certain things. Like, I'm not saying don't ever meet goals, but I'm saying in this process, we don't have to worry about that. This is just you dreaming as big as you can about what your perfect life would look like without apology.
Right, right. Anybody wants to set up a session or talk to Carolyn and be part of this coaching, please reach out to her. I'll put in her email address and contact information in a few minutes. If anybody has any questions, comments, or concerns that you would like to touch on that we haven't mentioned, or if you want us to talk about something in our next workshop, please go ahead and type that in. We only have a few more minutes left on this workshop. If anybody needs the PDF again, let me know and I can go ahead and upload that. But I just want to thank everybody for joining me and Carolyn, and as she blessed us with her knowledge and her beautiful, beautiful energy that she's brought into this group. Please, you know, chime in anytime, and, you know, so we could catch up. Where's the PDF? Yeah, I'll go ahead and, sorry, I'll go ahead and upload that.
And so, Emery, where is this video gonna live?
I'm going to send you the video. I mean, you can have it live wherever you want it, but I have like a database of all my workshops. Anybody that wants to have a copy of this recording, shoot me a email or type it in the chat group here, and I'll send you a video of this workshop. Other than that, you can send me an email here at girlspace.us to keep connected. And stay tuned for my other workshops coming up. Carolyn will be also joining us next week. And I also have 2 more workshops after that. One's going to be on self-love, and one's going to be on how to create your own online business during this pandemic. Do you have anything else you wanted to share, Miss Caroline?
You know, no, I mean, I feel like I said, I could go on for days.
I know, me too. This is a topic that I could just like, I just love your energy. When I first saw you on Facebook with your videos, I was like, who is this woman? She's captivating. I want to ask her to go on my workshop. And it's just how the synergy and how the universe played out. It's like, how did this happen? Boom, you're here. You're on my platform. And I love things like this happen, you know?
Everything is energy, sister. Everything is energy. So yeah, if people want to get in touch with me, I put my stuff in the PDF. Thank you for sharing my info with other people. And next week when I come back, I'm actually super excited to do this week after week, because like I was telling you, next week's workshop is totally different. Next week is completely on stress management. It's going to be completely different material. So I hope that people will join us again and catch up with this in the meantime, so they can get a sense of, like, I don't know, how I roll, and let's go from there.
Yeah, absolutely. Excuse me. So yeah, let's we could wrap this up. Does anybody else have anything else they want to add before we can wrap this up? And people are chiming out. Okay.
Good.
Good. Miss Carolyn, I will see you next week.
Yes, I will see you next week. Same time, same place. Yeah.
In that channel. If you have any PDFs you want to send me, go ahead and send that. I'll go ahead and send that out to the people who have already RSVP. We've got a good following coming in. You're great. I think you're wonderful. And I think the moment I put your workshop on, people are chiming in. So this is going to be good.
Thank you. So thank you to Hannah. Thank you to Kesha. Thank you to Ed. Thank you for everybody who's chiming in here. And maybe I'll see you guys next week.
Woo!
Yay. Hey, Emery, thank you so much.
Yay! You too. We'll see you next week. Bye. Bye.